Hey, everybody, it's the holidays. And we're here for Walk in the Path. It's Thursday, and I'm super excited to be talking to you today and to begin the ending. It's the beginning and the ending. It's the ending of the year. It's the ending of the season. It's the beginning of something new. It's the ending of it's the solstice. We're marching towards the solstice. Wow, what an amazing time that we're coming towards this solstice, right? So I'm super happy to be here. Welcome to Walking the Path. Hey, everybody, as you're starting to join in, I'm super glad. So today's topic, risky business. And what that has to do with is having the hard conversation. Having the hard conversation, hey, Vanessa, with your relatives, with your friends, with your family, because I had a hard conversation recently. And I want to share that with you. So that's the idea. And it's risky. It's risky business when you have a real conversation, when you talk about the truth, you share your feelings, you don't know how it's going to come back on the other side. And this is the holiday season, right? So this is when we're with family and we're with friends and tensions can rise. And it's really important. I saw in my own example, not to hold on to things. Hey, Jen. So before we talk about risky business, I want to just remind you that it is the solstice. The solstice is the 21st. Rick, sup? Sup, homie? Yo. Straight out of Marina Del Rey. So, okay. So the solstice. Solstice is literally from the word sol. It's the Latin for solstitium, which means the standing still of the sun. Sol is sun, and stitium is to stand still, or the day the sun stopped, right? Because it's the longest night, shortest day. This is the time, and the light, the light comes back on the 22nd. The days start getting longer, right? So we think of this as the darkest time of the year, but here's what we need to remember about darkness. Darkness is our friend, baby. When you close your eyes, there's infinite darkness, and darkness is the womb of creativity. Darkness, in the light, things are revealed for what they are, but in the darkness, things are revealed for what they could be. Wow, that's right, like what they could be. So there's infinite possibility in the darkness. And so this is the darkest time of year, and yet there's more light being directed at planet Earth right now. With all the way the Earth's tilted and the night sky, more light from stars are being directed at us right now. So it might seem like it's the darkest time of year, but there's more light being sent to this planet. So that is a reflection of a spiritual principle. We can see it in nature, and it's coming through as spiritual principle, which is, the master teacher said, don't mess around with appearances. Don't mess around with the way things look, because the truth is something good is always trying to emerge. So it may look like it's the darkest time of year, but there's really more light than ever. And guess what? On the 22nd, something light is seeking to emerge. So it's all happening now, and we know that the spiritual principle is that something good, that the good is always emerging, because the truth is there's one energy, one source, one life. That energy is eternal. That energy is good. It is loving. And how do we know it's loving? Because it gives us the gift of life, this life force that we're breathing. It's a gift. It's a gift, and there's no condition. We can do whatever we want with it. We can be a saint. We can be a brilliant scientist, or we could be something less, right? We could vibrate at a lower frequency and maybe do things that don't make our presence beneficial on the planet, right? It's our choice. And the presence of the living spirit, this energy that's in us, this breath, breath is life. Every breath we take is a gift of life. And so then life is in us. We're breathing life. And this life force that's in us, it's always productive. It's always expansive. It's intelligent. You're intelligent. I'm intelligent. There's intelligence in our body. The mitochondria of our cells are intelligent. So there's intelligence in this energy, just inherent. So we know it's intelligent. We know that it's loving because it gives us the gift without any condition. We know it's powerful. Wow. We translate sun and food and metabolize it and turn it into bones and muscle and sinew and living organisms. That's power. And this same intelligence that's in you, it's the intelligence that's spinning this planet without any human compulsion. It's creating universes and multiverses. Man, so we know it's powerful. We know it's peaceful and ordered and balanced and harmonious because we can look and see that order and balance and harmony everywhere in nature. So when I'm saying that the solstice is a opportunity for us to see a spiritual principle, I'm saying that it's showing us, one, that good is always seeking to emerge, that the energy of life itself has to be powerful, has to be loving, has to be expansive, has to be creative, has to be beautiful and intelligent, because all of these things we can see the reflection of it. We are a reflection of that invisible source. So we know that truth, that's principle, that's truth always, no matter what the appearances are. No matter what it looks like the darkest time of year, but it is the lightest time of year as we come into the solstice. And guess what? The light is going to come back in its fullness. So something good is always seeking to emerge no matter what the appearances are. That is a principle. And when we anchor in principle, we stay in the truth. It helps us keep our mind. It helps us treat our mind. It helps us keep lifted in high consciousness, because that is what helps the consciousness that we carry, the universe doesn't hear us, it feels us. And feelings are the language of the body. So we've got to feel it in our body. We have to know in our bones that goodness is emerging. We have to know in our bones that no matter what the appearance is, the truth is that the energy that is constantly, that is eternal, the one thing that is eternal is the energy of life. It goes on and on and on without us. We are just taking part in it. So if we know that the energy of life is eternal, hey, Carlo, if we know that the energy of life is eternal and it is always seeking to express through us, then no matter what the appearances are, something good is seeking to emerge. We can know that. And the solstice is a great opportunity to see that. And the seasons are a great opportunity to see that. Winter turns into spring, baby, every time. So that's a spiritual principle that we can anchor in and we can know the truth about. Now, more spiritual principle. Risky business. What is risky business all about? So I want to share with you guys a recent experience that I had. I have a friend, like he's like a brother to me, and we had a project. We never worked together before. I just saw him as this brilliant being, and he's impacted my life so much that I brought him in on this work project that I had, and you know, working with him in this work project, I saw some of the things that I didn't like, that I was blinded to because of my admiration and respect for him. And what happened was, that was like a month ago, we did this work project. And once I saw him in the project, I got upset. I got really pissed at him because he messed up. Well, he didn't mess up, but I saw the more fullness, right? Loving somebody, loving true love is loving them for everything they are and everything they're not, right? So I want to talk to you about what is risky about being honest. So what happened was there was a situation. I had this vision of this person as, you know, bigger than life. And then I brought them into a work situation and I saw something happen that wasn't really in alignment. And then I got some blowback from it from work. And what happened is that I was angry with myself because I was blinded by my respect and admiration for him. And it wasn't really the right person for the project, maybe. But I was like, no, there's the only person I want on this project is this guy. He's the one. He's the one. I know it. He's impacted my life. I know he's going to impact other people's lives. This is it. So the other people that worked with me on the project didn't agree with that. But it was too late. He was already in. So what I did was I was angry. I didn't see this. I was angry at myself because I circumvented normal procedures. There's normal procedures that prevent this from happening. I circumvented it, took it all on my shoulder, went, no, this is the guy. I pushed it forward. I made it happen. And then when it didn't turn out the way I expected, I got mad at him. And what I was really mad at, and I didn't know why, all I knew is that something shifted in my relationship with him. And I'm talking to you about this because this is going to happen over the next coming weeks as you come to your family, as you come back home, as you come see old friends. And it happens in our work environment. It's going to happen in your work environment as the new year begins, right? That something happens. So something happened and I got mad at him. And all I knew was something shifted in the way that I saw him. And then I was angry at him. Sometimes I'd be all right, but then I'd be angry at him. And so it took me a long time. And finally, he texted me and said, I know you're upset, but I still love you. And I was like, I love you too, but I am pissed. Let's talk later. So it came time, and now it's time to have the conversation. And that's the risky business, right? Something happened. My feelings changed. My feelings were hurt. I was angry and upset. I knew I was angry and upset. I knew way back in my consciousness that it had nothing to do with him, because relationships, here's spiritual principle, relationships are sacred mirrors that are reflecting and revealing the areas within us that are seeking to be healed, right? So whenever I'm mad at somebody, whenever somebody triggers something in me, it's always coming back here. It takes me a minute to see it. This was a month that I held on to this, a month that I held on to these feelings that I had for him, anger, feelings of anger. And I didn't say anything. And it started to outpicture in our relationship and he could feel it. So finally this morning, as I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about for my Facebook Live, here it is. I spoke with him and I just said what I felt. And a lot of it, you know, if he wasn't as an advanced individual as he is, he could have come back really hard on me, but he listened to what I had to say. And I got to express all my feelings and all my emotions. And then as soon as I did that, I saw, what shifted in our relationship was me, because I saw him as this amazing, which he is, he's an amazing individual, totally impacted my life, has blessed me in ways beyond imagination. And then when I moved him into this new situation with work, and he didn't pan out the way I expected, and my expectations weren't met, I got upset at myself. I was angry at myself for not seeing this before. What an idiot I was. I shouldn't have done that. And instead of acknowledging what was happening, I projected out that anger on him and said, you know what? He's arrogant, and he's inflexible, and he's intolerant, and he's not accepting feedback, and he was a diva to work with, and he was, right? Whenever we're pointing that finger out there, what's the old saying? Pointing the finger here, you got three pointed back at you, right? It's the truth. Those old sayings, those old chestnuts. So here I am, him, and I couldn't see. I knew in my heart, I knew in the back of my mind that it was me, but I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it until I expressed it. And once I expressed it, bam, I saw it right away. Oh, I'm angry at myself, and I'm projecting that out on you. Relationships are sacred mirrors, reflecting and revealing the areas within us that are seeking to be brought to the light, that are seeking to be, thank you, Vanessa, for that beautiful acknowledgement, that are the areas within us that are seeking to be healed. And what was seeking to be healed in me was my own anger at myself for not seeing that he wasn't probably the right choice. Nothing to do with him. He was just being him, right? So I bring that example forth to say, where in our lives is there someone, where is there a person in your family, my sister, who no matter what, I have an intention every time I go to speak with her, I have an intention that it's going to be loving and I love her and it's all going to be great. But she says one thing to me, bam, I'm through the roof. And all of a sudden I'm reactive, I'm fused with my emotion, and I'm just spewing shit out at her. So where in your life is that person where it's their fault for sure? They're fucked up. They're wrong. They're inflexible. They're intolerant. They're not loving. They're judgmental. They're right. I guarantee you, if you have the hard conversation, if you walk the path of risky business and are honest with your feelings And it's risky because you don't know how they're going to react. It's risky because they could come back at you. It's all right. If we do it, if we do it with love, it's okay to call a thing. This is Ricky Byers, another one of my favorite teachers. I was in her choir for many years at Agape. She said, it's okay to call a thing a thing. You just got to do it with love. And that's the truth, man. It's okay to say what is, what's there for you as long as you do it with love, right? And this conversation with my friend got a little heated. And because we love each other, he was able to handle that. So, it's risky because you could, you get into it, you get in there, and I was reactive, right? You could be reactive. Things could get out of hand. So we just got to keep coming back to our heart, coming back to our center, set an intention. So here's some guidelines for having these risky business conversations. Before you have the conversation, acknowledge your feelings, first of all. Vanessa says, oh man, I wish they will let me speak. Yeah, right? And Adam is saying, hey, Adam, it's how you react. Yes, being reactive, right? That was another Facebook Live we did, Reaction Jackson. How to not be reactive. And part of not being reactive in these conversations, the key is, one, set an intention before you have the conversation. My intention is to be loving. My intention is, at the end of this, we're reunited. And the end of this, we are back to this great relationship that we had. My intention is that I want to have a great relationship with my sister. My intention is that I want to be open-hearted. My intention is I want to be clear and honest. My intention is I want to feel heard, and I want them to feel heard. Whatever it is, you set your intention. Intention is key. And you keep coming back to that. And you're going to get off course. It's okay. So first, set the intention. Second, practice reflective listening, or it's also called perception checking. So you say something, they say something back to you. Before you respond, because me, I'm like, I'm right, I'm ready to say it. I gotta get in there. I got my piece. Ooh, I got a response. Ooh, I got a zinger. Ooh, I'm gonna get you, right? But instead of being Reaction Jackson, right, the first thing that you can do is practice perception checking. So you get into this conversation. Hey, sister, every time I say something, I feel very judged by you when you respond, right? And the way you said this to me, I felt very judged. And then they're going to say something to you. And she's going to say, well, I feel like every time you speak, you're just always expressing your opinion. And then anytime I want to say something back, I'm just defending myself, and you feel judged because I'm defending myself. So before I respond to her, I'm going to say, okay, so let me make sure I got this straight. When you feel like I am constantly stating my opinion and constantly pushing my opinion forward, and you don't feel heard, is that right? You don't feel heard, and you feel like all you're doing is simply defending yourself to my constant pushing forth my perspective, and you're just trying to make sure that you feel heard. Is that what you're saying? Perception checking is restating their argument and maybe even improving it. You don't want to put words in their mouth, but you're restating their argument and maybe even improving it a little, and until they confirm, yes, that's what I meant. Then you can say your piece. If you do that, I guarantee you it won't escalate, because that's the automatic way of de-escalating. When the person feels heard, shit dissolves, right? We all just want to be heard. So, number one, before you have the risky business conversation, to mitigate the risk, right? To mitigate the risk, unlike the spiritual insurance salesman. We're going to mitigate your risk here. We're going to indemnify you against the risky business of this conversation with your relative over the holidays. So before you have the conversation, set your intention. What's my intention? 2, practice reflective listening or perception checking, which is restating their argument. Before you respond to what they say, you restate their argument and maybe even improve on it until they agree that that's what they said. Then Then you can say what you have to say. And if you follow that program, I promise you that miracles will occur. Miracles will occur because you're expressing your feelings. I kept my feelings in about my spiritual brother, my dear friend, for a month. And that caused damage to me. Every time I was in communication with him, I was angry. That causes physical damage to our bodies, to our psyche, right? We need to unload this shit. We don't need to be carrying more baggage. We need to get rid of the baggage. So expressing yourself is key. And doing it in a way that's loving is the only way. It's super important. So, Jessica, I'm glad you like that. Anthony Holub. I love, you must be Middle Eastern, my dear. Maybe not, but this is what happens to me too, she says. More early, I realize it now. Yes, we're catching ourselves. So here's the thing. We set an intention and then we get off course. It's okay. NASA is the most precise organization on the planet. And I spoke with an astronaut recently, and here's the deal. When they launch a rocket or when the space shuttle was flying, the space shuttle was off course 80% of the time. 80%. The whole job of the captain and mission control was to bring it back into alignment with the trajectory. So your intention is like your trajectory. That's where I'm going. And you, as the captain of this conversation, you're going to get off course. And when you catch yourself, you just shore up. Come back to your intention. Come back to your intention. And don't beat yourself up, because if the most precise organization on the planet, NASA, is off course 80% of the time, it's okay if you get off course every once in a while. So that's the number one thing. Don't beat yourself up. The second thing is, another way to remember that is, I'm not asking to never fall asleep again. This is one of my favorite sayings. I say it all the time. I'm not asking to never fall asleep again. I'm just asking to wake up faster when I do. So we're going to set a high intention for this conversation that we're going to have with our family over the holidays, right? Something comes up, don't hold it in. But if you can speak it to it with love and keep it on I statements. I feel this way. Here's a great template. When you said this, blah, I felt this way. What would really work for me, or what I really would appreciate, or what I'd love to have happen, is in the future if you could respond this way, or if you could do this. So when we're talking about politics and you make this statement, blah, 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 it makes me feel like I'm not heard, and it makes me feel like I'm wrong. Now you're owning responsibility for that. So if we're going to talk about politics, I would really appreciate it if we could talk about it in this way, where we could both speak back and forth and have a level conversation. Okay, and then you're going to get heated sometimes, and it's okay. But if you follow perception checking in that conversation, and you're talking about liberal principles and they're talking about conservative Donald Trump principles, and you, instead of just launching back your talking points, right? That's what's going on in Congress right now. They're doing the impeachment, right? And the one side is not listening to the other side. They're just saying, this is ridiculous. The other side, this guy violated the trust. These people are just out after him. They couldn't like him for anything. Back and forth. They're just two ships passing in the night. But if we listen, okay, so what you're saying is that I'm not hearing that I am completely biased in my approach. Whatever, right? If you did the perception checking, the other side would feel heard, and you would have a better understanding of what they were saying. And there might be, I have to admit, in that argument about impeachment, there's not a lot that would change my mind. I guess I am kind of biased about that. I am pretty much on the Democratic side, So, wow, if we started to admit that kind of stuff in politics, we'd have actually a democracy. We'd be talking to each other. That's what democracy is predicated on: speaking the truth. Having loving, open, honest communication in our interpersonal relationships is predicated on speaking the truth. I didn't speak the truth to my friend. I held it in, and it caused psychological and physical damage to me. And I feel so much better in having shared that with him. And just in speaking my emotion, in speaking the language of my body, I saw that it was me. I saw that it was my own anger at myself my own anger at myself that I was projecting out at him. Remember, relationships are the sacred mirrors reflecting and revealing the areas within us that are seeking to be healed. Okay, let's look at some of these comments. So Hadia, Azi, with love, yes, do it with love. And being calm and coming from a place of love is key. And even when we get heated, it's okay. We get off course, come back. Janine, thank you for joining us. Deborah says, deep breath during and before and after communication. Breathing is key. Breathing is key. Breathing is life. And Jason, I'm so glad you're here. So our topic today was risky business. And the risky business is having those hard conversations with your family, having those hard conversations with your loved ones. Don't hold it in. I'm super grateful for your time, Deborah. And I'm super grateful for each of you that joined today. I'm grateful for what happened and came up in life and that I can share it with you. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, whatever your holiday traditions are. This is the time of year where we release something that no longer serves us, and we're looking forward to something new that's seeking to emerge. Will you catch the vision of your life in 2020? It's the end of the year. It's the end of the decade. Wow. Ending and new beginnings. Ending and new beginnings. So I'm wishing you many happy endings. And many new beginnings, baby. All right. Oh, peace and richest blessings. Happy holidays and much love. Thank you.